Hey everybody, it's Moonbo here, and welcome back to some more Endless Scrap Mechanic. Today we're in creative mode, and we're going to be taking a look at a few builds that I have made using the effects mod. Now, if you don't know the effects mod, I'm going to leave a link up in the corner there for you. You can check it out. It's an absolutely amazing mod created by Ike07. This mod is a lot of fun, and it brings a lot of life to creations. So, I have made a few different Pokemon that we're going to be taking a look at. I'm actually going to be showcasing a time-lapse of building Zapdos, the legendary electric bird. It turned out really awesome. And then after that time-lapse, I'm going to show you guys the other Pokemon that I have created. Now, before I do that, though, I need to mention that this is going to mark the start of the Effects Mod Community Challenge that I am going to be putting on over on my Discord. So if you do want to participate in this challenge, then be sure to go down into the description. There is going to be a link to my Discord server. If you have any questions, be sure to ask there. There's going to be a channel for submissions, and the submissions will be open for probably about a week from today, unless there's some circumstances that come up. But I'm really excited to see this challenge. I love the community builds. I love showing them off. So I'll be picking the best ones from the submissions and then showcasing them in the future. So with that said, we are going to move on now. I'm going to show you guys the building process of Zapdos. Really cool Pokemon, and it turned out pretty good here in Scrap Mechanic. And then I'll see you guys at the end where we're going to take a look at some more Pokemon. Alright, so this is the finished Zapdos. This one took a little bit of time. This one took about 45 minutes to make. But I mean, this one is probably more simple than the other ones that we're going to be taking a look at, but I'm really happy with the design of Zapdos. I think it turned out pretty good. It's very difficult to make organic creations in, like, creative mode using polygons. So you do have to get pretty creative with the overall process. So you can see the back here is not the most finished, but that's because I was trying to find, like, good pictures of the back of Zapdos, and it was actually pretty difficult. But he does have the really cool, like, black feathers that stick out on either side, as well as down and around the tail here. Really happy with the way these talons turned out. You can see they look quite sharp and very menacing. And of course, I am using the effects mod here, and I think for this one, I am using, let's see here, where it is, there it is, the Sparks effect block. So this was the block that I ended up using for the electrical effect here. Where is it? There it is, the electricity effect. So I ended up putting that, of course, all over Zapdos, and I gotta say, this looks really, really cool. Definitely getting that electrical vibe. You know, because of course Zapdos is an electric Pokemon. So really happy with this. And these are all going to be on the workshop as well if you do want to take a look at them and maybe draw a little bit of inspiration for the effects mod. But really cool. Zapdos turned out really, really awesome. The electrical effect, really, like, without this electrical effect, you know, I feel like this build would not even come close to being as cool as it is with it. Alright, so I've got 3 Pokemon to show you now besides the Zapdos, and we're gonna start with Blastoise. Now, I decided to do the original starter Pokemon fully evolved, and of course you got Squirtle, that eventually turns into Blastoise, which is a water cannon turtle monster thing that looks rather interesting, but with the effects mod, you can see the amount of life that comes to this creation is really, really awesome. We've got water cannons on either side of Blastoise's shoulders, you know, the signature Blastoise design, and it looks really cool. We can shoot the water out, and it's really awesome because you can, in fact, change the angle of the effects block, and there is a certain amount of, like, gravity that involves with this effect mod, which is really, really awesome. So you can do a lot more than just something as simple as a water cannon with this water effect. But, you know, Blastoise looks really cool. He's rather large, of course, and he does look very menacing. That eye design is pretty common throughout these Pokemon, you're gonna notice, but Pokemon should be relatively mean looking, and, you know, it just makes them look even cooler. So really happy with Blastoise. The tail was even, like, any tail on a Pokemon, again, organic looking stuff in Scrap Mechanic can be difficult, but I still think this one turned out extremely well. And now, next up, we've got the signature Charizard. This is, like, you know, probably, like, the Pokemon of all Pokemon. Charizard's one of the coolest, and I think one of the rarest as well. So, of course, the effect mod in this case for Charizard is the flame here on the tail. So it starts off with Charmander, and eventually ends as a Charizard, and throughout this Pokemon's entire life, its little tail is on fire, and I believe that fire on its tail is also a part of its life force. So if a Pokemon, or if a Charmander or Charizard, whatever, loses that fire on their tail, it can mean certain doom. But this one was pretty interesting to make. Charizard's a very strange looking Pokemon when you really look at him for too long. He's got a really long, skinny neck. So it was kind of difficult to figure out, like, a good way to get the neck and everything going, but we have some really nice wings. I think the wings turned out absolutely amazing. The front and the back side of this Pokemon turned out really, really good, and of course the flame here really just kind of seals the entire deal. I gotta say though, I think the head here of Charizard is probably the best one out of them all. Mind you, I think they all kind of turned out relatively well, but we got, you know, different claws and different kind of things like that as well. So Charizard turned out amazing. Really happy with that, you know. And there's also another effect I just remembered. So you can see that the fire is on his tail, but if we look up around Charizard, you can see that there's some floating kind of pieces of debris. And that is actually the Ember effect. So we have like an Ember-style glowing orb thing floating around, which just adds even more atmosphere to this Pokemon. Alright, and last but not least, we've got Venusaur. Now, Venusaur is like the weird, it's a really, any plant-based Pokemon, in my opinion, is extremely strange because, you know, it's a living creature that also incorporates vegetation in its existence, which is a weird concept, but nonetheless really cool. Venusaur was probably the most difficult to design in a way that didn't make it look really stupid or really bad. And then this one really ended up turning out to be one of my favorites. And so when you're looking at it directly from the ground here, it's not very, like, clear. But when you look at it from, like, a higher angle, you get to really see the effect that I was going for with the leaves, as well as the flower up here on the top of Venusaur's back as well. I think that turned out absolutely amazing. I think this is the one that I ended up spending the most time on because I was just not happy with the way it was going. But you know, if you kind of put your head down and grind away at it until it finally looks pretty decent, you end up with something that really surprises you. Now, the effect mod here for Venusaur is, of course, all of these leaves floating around, which is really, really cool. So it's not so much like a very action-style effect like you could see with Blastoise or Zapdos, but it's kind of like a little more subtle, and it just really, really ties together the plant-based Pokemon that Venusaur is. Now, I ended up having to use a lot of these effect blocks here. You can see these green circles. Those are all of the effects blocks, and they are all set to the same effect of the falling leaves, because it's a very, very subtle effect. I needed a lot of them to create enough leaves so that it was more apparent. So really, really happy with the design of Venusaur as well. And I gotta say, I'm really happy with how all 4 of these Pokemon turned out. So these builds are just a small example of the amazing things you can do with the effects mod. I'm looking forward to seeing submissions to the effects mod challenge. Again, the Discord link is down in the description. Let me know which one of these was your favorite Pokemon. I mean, I guess I'm really kind of asking you, what is your favorite starting Pokemon? Is it Squirtle, Charmander, or Bulbasaur? Or maybe if you're like me and you had Pokemon Yellow, maybe it's Pikachu. But either way, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, looking forward to the submissions for the challenge. And of course, if you guys enjoyed this video or these builds, then let me know by hitting that like button. And of course, if you guys want to tune in for some more Endless Scrap Mechanic, then be sure to subscribe to the channel. Maybe even turn on those notifications so you get the latest and the craziest coming from me in Scrap Mechanic. So thank you so much for watching, and I will be seeing you in the next one. So bye for now.